Hello and welcome to my channel where we are making a gourmet tasting cake using a box mix. And today we are making an easy and very delicious chocolate lava cake. So stick around while we make something boxed, but better. In a small microwave-safe bowl, we are going to put 1.5 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. Microwave in 10-second intervals, stirring every 10 seconds until fully melted. Then pour your chocolate ganache into one of the squares of an ice cube tray and place in your freezer for 10 to 15 minutes. Pour out any remaining chocolate ganache onto a small piece of parchment paper on a small plate and freeze that as well. We don't want any of this delicious chocolate to go to waste. While you wait for your chocolate to freeze, prepare a small baking dish by placing a small piece of parchment paper at the bottom and then lightly greasing and flouring it. After about 20 minutes, it is time to bake our batter. In a small bowl, add 1/3 cup of chocolate cake mix, and then 1/3 cup of half and half. And that is it. You just stir it by hand for about 2 minutes until your batter is mostly incorporated. It's okay if you have a few small lumps, they will bake out, and this is going to be absolutely delicious. Pour your batter into your 4-inch baking dish, and then we are going to bake it at 375 degrees for 10 minutes. While your cake is baking, go ahead and remove your chocolate cube from the freezer and loosen it up with your butter knife so that we can have it at the ready for later on. My freezer was actually on a defrost cycle, so my chocolate didn't harden up like it did in my practice cake. But that is okay. If this happens to you, don't panic. We don't need a perfect cube, we just need it to be a pretty solid lump of chocolate. So I just dug my chocolate out of the ice cube tray and smushed it back into a general lump and placed it back in my freezer. The goal for this is to just have your chocolate at the ready because you'll have to move fast when your cake comes out of the oven. Remove your cake from the oven after 10 minutes and you'll notice it's only half baked. That is perfect because this is where we are going to insert our chocolate cube. After you insert your chocolate cube, push it down a little with a butter knife and then scoop a little bit of the batter over the top of your cube. Then place it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. After those 10 minutes, your cake is officially done. Now in order to get it to flip out perfectly onto our plate, we need to go around the edges lightly with a butter knife just to loosen it. But before we flip it out onto our plate, we are going to place our piece of leftover chocolate ganache. Remember I said we don't want to waste any of this chocolatey goodness. It will also act as a shield to keep the chocolate in the middle of your cake from spilling out when you flip it onto your plate. So I call that a bonus, because flipping it can definitely be a little tricky, especially if it's your first time. In order to get your cake flipped out smoothly, place a small plate on top of your baking pan, and holding it with one gloved hand on the top and one gloved hand on the bottom, give it a flip. Remember this is hot, so please be careful. I'm using a butter knife to get the lid off because my gloves were not gripping at all. Once you get it flipped, peel off your parchment paper and look at that chocolatey goodness. To top it off, I'm giving it a light dusting of powdered sugar, just because it looks pretty, but I also highly recommend topping it with either ice cream or whipped cream. I just didn't do it for this one because I was going to take a picture later for the thumbnail and I knew the ice cream would melt by then, but it is definitely my favorite way to eat this. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, the grand finale of watching the chocolate lava flow. And there we have it, our delicious chocolate lava cake. Thank you for joining me. I had a lot of fun and I hope you did too. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and I will do my best to answer them. And I will see you next time on Boxed But Better with Genna.
Look, Mom, tell them why I did the L.
Hey, I'm trying to film.
Oh, I thought you were done. We're in the blueprint.
Get out!
I want to see red.
You too? I can't work like this.